Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Amanda and I'm a stay-at-home mom to one little girl named Maggie. Today we're doing Vlogmas, but we're doing a Q&A, and I will try my hardest to keep my answers concise, but this video might be very long, so I apologize in advance. I'm gonna answer these questions in no specific order. In fact, I made myself a little basket here so I can just pull the questions and just answer them at random. So let's just jump right into it. Grab yourself a cozy beverage. I've got some water here. And we are just gonna get right into answering these questions. Here we go. First question. It's a little one, so hopefully. Halloween or Christmas? All right, if you would have asked me this before I had kids, I would have definitely said Halloween. Before a kid, I have one kid, I would have said Halloween, but this year, seeing the joy in Maggie's eyes, and she truly is enjoying the Christmas season, I'm gonna say Christmas, although I really love parts of both, especially living near the theme parks in Florida. So the theme parks really help make the celebration so much more fun. But at the moment, I'm gonna say Christmas. Oh goodness, this is a long one. How did you find out you were pregnant and what was your reaction? All right, so I found out I was pregnant in June of 2020, I think, or sometime in 2020. And we were trying for a baby, so it wasn't that unexpected or anything like that. I was feeling some symptoms, and I think I was taking a pregnancy test like every month. I don't remember exactly, but I had a couple symptoms, so I decided to take a dollar store test, and I saw a very faint line. And I was freaking out a little bit. I actually have a video of it. It's not that exciting, so I'm not gonna put it in, but I was freaking out. I was all sweaty and just like anxious, and I called my mom. I went and bought a digital test that says like pregnant or not pregnant, and it said pregnant, even though it was super early. I think I was only like 4 weeks or so. And then at Walmart, I bought Paul a onesie to give him as an early birthday present. So yeah, I was in June, and when he got home from work, I was like, oh, I got you an early birthday present, and I gave him the bag with the onesie and the pregnancy test in it. Yeah, we were just super excited. I was also anxious just because I was in a lot of groups about trying to conceive, like on Facebook, and everyone kind of scares you and stuff with like, oh, you don't want to get too attached because it's so early. But once I got over that feeling of like, oh, I hope it sticks, like I was just extremely excited and very thankful that it worked out as quickly as it did. All right, next. Favorite holiday memory as a child? This is hard for me because growing up I had a little bit of a complicated feeling towards holidays because it was a lot stressful for me as a young person to try to go to all the different houses and make everyone happy. I had divorced parents, so and then also my parents have divorced in their family, so it was like going to so many different houses and stuff was a challenge to try to work that out. So for a long time, I really didn't have positive feelings around the holidays. It's only recently that I've finally become like feeling a little bit better around that time. As tricky as it was, I do remember always just having a really good time spending time with my family in different like pockets, and like at my grandma's house, like my mom's mom especially, we always had like large family gatherings, and that was always pretty fun. I mean, it was really good seeing all sides of my family, but it was just a little bit complicated, so it's hard for me to remember like the really good memories because I feel like I block a lot of stuff out, just being totally honest, so my memory isn't very good. So yeah. All right, next. When's your birthday and what's your zodiac sign? My birthday is Independence Day, July 4th. My sign is Cancer. I don't really get into the zodiac stuff or like birth charts or anything like that, but I am a Cancer. I'm a water sign. I'm super emotional. That's all I really know about Cancers. Paul's also a Cancer. So yeah, July 4th, I've always had fireworks on my birthday. Growing up, they called me a firecracker baby. Yeah, my birthday's on a holiday, a big holiday, so it's always a fun time. Favorite place to eat out when you get takeout? Easy. That is our local Mexican restaurant. It's just so affordable. It's always so delicious. It's so close to our house, and my order is 2 chicken chimichangas, when I remember to put in the right thing on the app, 2 chicken chimichangas with queso, and I usually get a third item because it's like $1 extra, and I give it to Maggie. And then it comes with rice and beans, and it comes with chips and salsa. We can get a lot of food for really cheap, and it's always so delicious. Next, best thing about being a mom. Talk about a loaded question. When I first had Maggie, I remember feeling like this sense of ownership, not in like a weird way, but you know, like when you have friends and family who have little babies and you get to love on them, but then like you have to give them back to their parents because it's not your kid. When you have your own kid, there's this feeling of like, wow, I never have to give this kid away. I never have to send them off. Like, they are my person that I created. I never have to be separated from them. Like, I don't have to give them to anybody. Like, this is my baby. And just that sense of like ownership and connection that you have with your child, there's just nothing like it in the world, and there's nothing better. Like, even your spouse or your significant other, like, that's just their own separate person. Something about giving birth to a child and it being like a part of you, like, there's just something so magical and special about that. So I feel like that sense of connection that lasts forever is like really one of the coolest parts about being a mom. Favorite color? I'll give you one guess. It's green. Green is my favorite color. Do you want more children? And if so, how many? Yes, I absolutely want more children, at least one more child. To get personal, I thought for sure that by the time Maggie was like 18 months, I'd be ready to start trying for another baby. But as I've experienced this life with a baby, and just as amazing as Maggie is, I feel that I'm not mentally there yet. Physically, I'm fine, but I am still breastfeeding like on demand, like whenever she wants. So I haven't even had like a break from breastfeeding yet. Mentally, I still feel that I'm not ready for another child yet. I think it would be easier if I had family in the area or like help every once in a while, but since it's just me and Paul, I just can't imagine bringing an infant into the mix at the moment, or being pregnant, even trying to deal with taking care of Maggie by myself. So definitely want more children. I think logistically, probably only one more kid. Ideally for me, I think 2 more kids would be awesome, but on paper, I think it makes sense to only have 1 more kid. So be praying for us for that. In the near future, I'm hoping that I'll start to feel more at peace with maybe start to try for another kid soon. Next question, and this one was asked more than once. How did Paul and I meet? All right, the short answer is we met through mutual friends / through Instagram. Let me just say, like, we knew the same people. So at some point we started following each other on Instagram, became Facebook friends at some point, and the timing never worked out. Like, I lived in Florida for a little while, he lived in Ohio, or like he was dating someone else, I was dating someone else. And then when I was working at Starbucks in the mall, he had previously worked at the Apple store in the same mall. So we knew the same people, like my customers were his Apple friends. And one day he was meeting his mom at the halfway point at a restaurant near the mall while I was working. So he came into the mall to get a coffee and see some of his friends. And I saw him like in the line, and we've known about each other for a couple years at this point, but we've never like really hung out or anything like that. So I saw him in line and I was like, hey, Paul Frank. And he got a drink from me. I think I was on bar that day, so I like made his beverage. It was super busy, so we didn't really get to chat. And then later that day, he wrote on my Facebook wall and he was like, oh, I was gonna come get another drink, but it was so busy. And then at the time I had a pixie cut, and he was a new barber, and I was like, oh, you should cut my hair sometime, you know, whatever. We exchanged numbers, and I actually went on a weekend trip to New York City with some of my friends, and the whole time I was in New York, for like 3 days, I was texting Paul. We were just chatting nonstop, like novels back and forth to each other. We made plans to go on a date like the day I got back from New York, and we went out to like a fancy restaurant and we got drinks, and it was just super nice, and we've been together ever since. All right, next question. Okay, this is a hard one. This is in relation to someone that's planning to become a stay-at-home mom in the future. And she said, advice for relying on someone else or not having your own income. This one is really challenging and personal. I would say right off the bat that the first thing you should do is join your finances, because it's really hard to have like separate bank accounts and you're giving your husband money for rent or things like that. Like if you're not joined, it's gonna be really hard to have this mindset of being one flesh. Like when you get married, you're like one flesh, like you're one entity that all the money coming in, you share, all the hard work you share. Like you're trying to support each other. It's not always gonna be like the same chores or anything like that. It's going to be that you're both helping to take care of the family unit, whether that's financially, physically, doing chores, rearing children, being the pregnant one who has to give birth, and then care for your child once they're born. So after you join your finances, you really need to view being a stay-at-home mom as a full-time job, because it is. Even if you have an extremely supportive partner, which I do, you are still bearing the load of motherhood and the mental load that comes with that. Like once you give birth to a baby, your brain literally changes. You are so tuned into their needs, their cries. If you're breastfeeding, like that's its own full-time job. So you have to view motherhood or being a stay-at-home mom as your job. If you were to break down all the jobs that you do in a day, like personal chef, house cleaner, you're educating your children, you're working on their milestones, you are caring for their every physical need, you are feeding them, clothing them, you are rotating their clothes, making sure they have the right sizes, you're rotating their toys to make sure they're in the right appropriate learning curve. Like you need to be doing all these things. And if you were to break that down and hire out these jobs to other people, think about how much you'd be paying those outsiders to do the chores and jobs that you're doing at home. So when you have that mindset and you see yourself as doing a job, it's a lot easier to rely on your partner to support you financially, because you value the work that you're doing. Does that make sense? Like, and your husband or your partner should be seeing your work as extremely valuable as well. We are so fortunate, if you're a stay-at-home mom, to be able to just be with your kids all the time, but it is a very, very hard, mentally and physically taxing job. Another thing too, like with all that, is you just need to have really good communication. You're not out there blowing the budget. You're in communication with your partner who's providing for you financially about what you're going to spend on. Maybe have like a spending limit, like, hey, if I make a purchase over $100, I'm going to have a chat with you real quick. Is this cool? Have a chat about what your financial goals are for the future. Are you trying to pay off your cars? Are you trying to have a good grocery budget? Like, what is your grocery budget? Like, your partner should trust you to make spending choices, but you also need to be conscious of the family goals and the family budget and be a good steward of your money, so then your partner can trust you. And it goes both ways. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, you're getting an allowance from your husband. Like, it's not like that. You need to be in a partnership from the start. All right, a couple questions left. Dream vacation location. Dream vacation location. Paul and I have always wanted to go to Tokyo, Japan. We really want to go to Tokyo Disneyland and the seas over there, and just overall, it just seems like a really cool place, very different from anything we've experienced so far. And I feel like if we could ever make that happen, or if we could decide that we want to handle the flight out there, we would absolutely love to go to Japan. What's one thing you enjoy about being a stay-at-home mom and one thing you don't enjoy? One thing I do enjoy is hands down the freedom to plan our day and to just kind of set the tone for what I want to do. Like, I worked since I was 15 until 29. I do not miss working at all. Like, work is hard. I enjoyed work when I was there, when I was in the workforce, loved it. But now that I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm like, whew, I do not miss working at all. I love having the ability to plan our day. We like to go and do things, and I love just being in charge of setting up our day, being organized, making plans, really just taking care of the home, and of course, spending time with my kid as much as possible, and just having that freedom to just be present and to really spend as much time as I can with her. I just love having the freedom. It's just such a gift and such a blessing to not have to be restricted by going to work. And one thing I don't love on the flip side is I do miss my regular coworkers and just having that adult interaction on a regular basis and with my customers and my coworkers. That is kind of hard sometimes. Sometimes I feel a little bit lonely But as Maggie's gotten older, I feel less lonely. And also I have I shouldn't say a lot, I have a few really good friends that I talk to. My family's very supportive, even though they don't live here. I get to talk to them whenever I need to, so that helps. But I do just miss that regular adult daily interaction that I had as a working person. This is the last question. I can't remember what it is. Oh, rank the Florida Disney parks. Okay. This is such a tough question. I know you're gonna judge me no matter what I say. So dead last for me right now is Hollywood Studios, because there's really nothing for me to do there except Fantasmic. I do want to see Fantasmic, but that park is so discombobulated. There's no cohesion. I just don't care for it. I love going for Christmas decor, and that's it. I don't like Star Wars. Like, Hollywood Studios dead last. The next three are like, they change depending on, you know, like what's going on at the parks. But I'm gonna say currently in third place is Magic Kingdom, even though I love their attractions and the vibes. It's just too crowded. It takes so long to get into the park as a day guest. By the time you park at the TTC, get over into the park, go through security, get inside, like it takes so long and it's so crowded. You can't actually ride anything with a toddler because you don't have time to wait an hour in the lines. So Magic Kingdom's third. Then it's probably Epcot. I love World Showcase so much. I love the festivals, but Future World right now is a hot mess, and it has been for a long time. That puts Animal Kingdom in the top spot because it's just such a beautiful park. Love animals so much. It's never really under construction. There's shows, there's live animals. You can just walk the trails so you don't have to wait in line. Has really good food, live music all over the place. So it's just a beautiful park, and I would have to say Animal Kingdom is my number one. All right, guys, that is all the questions I have to answer today. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me, listening to me ramble on. If you have any more questions, you can ask them in the comments and I will respond, or send me a DM directly on Instagram if you want to chat more about some of the more interesting questions that I had, or like the more difficult questions. But yes, I appreciate you all so much. Thanks for spending time getting to know me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.